doesn't have a beginning. And because God doesn't have a beginning, there is no question of who created him.
That's the bit where I'm sort of like,
I mean, forget one created the universe, or did it come into existence by itself?
I wouldn't,
I don't have space now.
It's one of them, innit? That if someone created the universe, then there must be a God.
Yeah, good to just then. Is it okay if I plug a mic on you, because
Sure.
I'm running out of space, and you need one anyway. Yeah, just plug.
So if someone made the universe, then there would probably have to be a God, right?
No, before we even indulge into that, what about the universe itself? Where did it come from? So as an agnostic, if somebody asked you that question, how would you respond?
I mean, as an agnostic, I respond, well, there's lots of theories from different people, whether it's science theory, a Big Bang theory, or whether it's God made it. For me, it's, I don't know.
You looked into Big Bang?
No. I don't admit to anything. I don't know.
Anyway, what we know is that the universe, based on most scientists, they believe that the universe has an age of something like just under 14 billion years. Yes? That means that it had a beginning. Yes? We also know that the universe is expanding.
Who said it's 14 billion years, and how do they know that?
Oh, I think they know by the radiation and so on. So by radiation they can tell the age of certain things.
So I'm not a big history believer.
Well, this is science.
This is science.
Yes.
Which science history, right?
Well, So I'm not a scientist
I know science
either, but
today,
there are certain basic things which I do know. I mean, I tend to make mistakes, and I hope people correct me if I make mistakes.
It's like on the TV, if you look at an expert scientist, where I assume these people are saying this, and that we automatically assume the scientist knows, but we realise later on that obviously scientists quite often get a shitload wrong, or they're just lying.
No, you're absolutely right. But the scientists themselves say that what they say is not written in stone.
No.
So this theory is a theory of the Big Bang, the theory of evolution. So these are all hypotheses which then go through peer reviews and so on. And then they have several models of the universe, not just the Big Bang theory, by the way. They have maybe 7 or 8 other models or something. And they say that maybe this Big Bang theory is one of the most acceptable. They don't say it's never going to change. They don't say it's set in stone, okay? But they say from all the other models out there, and from the research that we have done, we believe this to be the strongest model to our knowledge so far. Okay, so they will tell you that the universe began to exist at some point, and it's expanding at present. Yes, and they can tell that by the stars moving. Distancing away from each other as time goes by. So there are all these observations by which they postulate these different theories.
The science believe it goes infinite. They believe in infinity, don't they, scientists?
No, infinity is a concept.
Yeah.
So they use these terms infinity in mathematics just for ease of for modulation and for it's to make certain formulas and models much more meaningful. So instead of them saying that it is eternal, which is more of a theological terminology, they say infinity. Infinity means they don't know what's the last number. So if I ask you what is the last number, what is the greatest number, you'll say, well, numbers are infinite. Yes, because numbers are abstract. Yes?
Numbers will always carry on.
Yeah.
There'll always be another number.
So the largest number and the smallest number both are infinite. Yes? Whether you go this direction or this direction with a zero in the middle, you'll know that this is something which is infinite. For us to better understand this in a language, we use the term infinite so that we can all be on the same page. So it's for ease of understanding. So now going back to our question, what created God? I told you God by definition. You see, in order for the universe to exist, it needs a creator. It needs someone to bring it into existence. So in the Quran, Allah says about human beings that Allah asks us a hypothetical question. Who created you? Yes? Did you create yourself? Yes? Or were you created from nothing? Or did Allah create you? That means did someone create you? So now when I ask you, did you create yourself? Obviously you'll say no. If I told you did, you come from nothing, again you'll say no. Because nothing cannot give rise to something in any logical, scientific method of understanding, yes? Because nothing means the absence of everything. Nothing doesn't even exist. If something doesn't exist, how can it bring into existence something that does exist? So our reality exists. Yes? Now this reality, for example, your consciousness is something which is immaterial. You cannot observe it under a microscope. Your consciousness, yes? You know you're alive. You are able to perceive the reality around you. You're able to perceive that you yourself exist. Now this comes from, no, it doesn't come from anything other than your consciousness. Now the scientists call this the hard problem of consciousness. That means they cannot fathom what it is. Because you see, science is limited in its ability to understand things which are metaphysical. Physical, yes, they'll tell you how, they'll explain things, how things come into being. But what they're not good at is something that they cannot observe, cannot simulate, cannot measure. Yes, and these things are consciousness. And within consciousness, there are things like your, for example, your emotions. We say it's the soul. Yes, as people of who believe in theology, we use the term soul. So your soul, everything is intrinsic to this. Your emotions, your ability to think, your intellect, your consciousness, all this. All this is within. And none of this, for example, if you ask a scientist, whom do you love more, your girlfriend or your mother? They won't be able to measure that, will they? Neither can they say, oh, you love them equally, because your love for your mom is different to that of your spouse or your girlfriend or whatever it is, yeah? Now, the reason I'm mentioning these metaphysical things is to highlight the fact that science has limitations. What are its limitations? It can only observe and measure things which are material. We call it this naturalistic belief. It's kind of a belief, yes. There are certain things that you have to believe, even though it might be like, for example, what happened, when did time originate and all these things, yeah? They say it happened at the Big Bang. Beyond that, we don't know what it is. So sometimes they speculate, yes? Sorry, before the Big Bang, there's something called Planck time. I don't want to go into those details. But they know that it had a beginning at some point. There was a point, they call it the singularity, at which this time began to exist and space began to exist, and then Big Bang came into, basically happened, and so on. So you see, these limitations of science, trying to decipher the metaphysical, is beyond its scope. Because they cannot, if you cannot observe something, you cannot postulate anything. You cannot have any sort of hypothesis or any models or anything. And there are two other things which are very important in science. Without that, science is handicapped: time and space. So you see, beyond the Big Bang, beyond the Planck time, they cannot fathom what happened before that. Yes? Because they don't have these two key factors, space and time. And without knowing these two, they cannot have any sort of formulas or hypotheses or theories or whatever.
Did time exist before?
We believe, yes. We believe, because you see, God, we believe that God himself created both time and space, in the sense that it is something which is in his control. Yes? Now, the reason I'm bringing you back to God is because that is where we enter the metaphysical realm, which science has no scope. No way. Basically, there's a boundary between them and the metaphysical. And all these things, things within yourself, they cannot observe. Things within themselves, like consciousness, they cannot tell you what it is. Let alone in the cosmos, which is very far away. You see what I mean? So, if they cannot even tell you and determine what actually, the very factors, the very, tools that they use in order to understand and discover and invent things, their intellect, they don't know where that came from. They don't know where it is from. You see what I mean? So we go back, they will have to somehow concede that they don't know, or they'll have to now go into a realm and scope which is beyond their, their boundaries. They'll have to do that in order to understand that. You see, in order for one to recognize the consciousness, you need to have consciousness in the first place. You see what I mean? That's why it's such a hard problem for them, because they cannot even fathom the thing which tells them that they exist and this reality exists. You see, it is not your mind, it is not the flesh of your brain Yes? Or the neurons within that, which are all material, by the way. It is what is beyond that even. It is your very self that keeps you alive, that keeps you ticking, which keeps you, your intellect and your thoughts intact. Your ability to even dream when you're sleeping. Yes? You might be in very deep sleep, but you're still, it's functioning. You see what I mean? All these things are, like I said, beyond the scope. So now we come to God. So God Almighty, like I said, everything, not God Almighty, the universe, anything that begins to exist must have a cause. So you know the principle of cause and effect? That doesn't apply to God Almighty. Because God, by definition, is eternal. He's uncreated, uncaused. He's intelligent, obviously, because what we see around us is of intelligent design. Yes, everything that you see has a purpose. From a mosquito to the greatest galaxies.
It's super intelligent.
Absolutely, yes. And you see everything is more or less, it's not in chaos, it's in harmony. If you look at the cosmos, or if you look at the smallest atom, yes, you see the similarity between the solar system and the atoms. Yes, so you got the nucleus and the electrons and the neutrons rotating around it. Look at the sun and the planets rotating. So you got the what do you say? Something which is macro, like the atom, and something that is macro, which is very big and large, like the solar system, and even beyond that. So if you look at the solar system, and you look at the galaxies, which has hundreds and thousands of solar system, and you look at the galaxy, which has hundreds and thousands of stars, yes, and there are hundreds and thousands of galaxies out there, and some stars are tens of thousands times bigger than the sun itself. I mean, it's mind-boggling, you know. Where did all this come from? No one in their right mind should admit that it came from nothing. Because it's impossible, inconceivable for all this to come from nothing.
Sorry, what's your point? Where did it come from?
Come in the front, I'll talk to you.
It came from nothing.
Yeah.
Can you explain what nothing is?
I never said it came from nothing.
You just said it.
No, I didn't. I said it. I said came. It was a question. Do you?
Okay, so what was before?
Wait.
Oh, yeah, that's
Before you misinterpret what I said anyone who says that it came from nothing should really think again. Okay?
think about what?
Like I said, if you want to talk, come in front, please. Don't shout in my ear.
Universe, sorry.
What's that?
What was before the universe?
What was before the universe? Okay. Do you believe in God?
No, ask your question. You're asking a
I need to know.
question.
I need to know from which angle you're coming.
I don't wish to answer that.
Okay, I want to talk to him if you don't want to answer my question. So going back to,
question,
wow, you won.
running away.
You won. Get a